everyone. I'm Elaine,
And I'm Jackie.
and we're going to talk to you today about what if you were to stop struggling with who you are,
Struggling against
your
your
true nature.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
What does that mean? What would it look like if we could just be ourselves? Well,
Yeah. What if we're living something, we're trying to be something that we're not?
how do we even know if that's true?
Yeah, I know.
How many of us know what our true nature is?
That's a tough one because even though I've studied and studied and I've studied astrology and human design and soul realignment and everything, and I have this big long list of all these things that I am, well, at least the interpretations are, but I just recently found myself the other day saying, what if we have a visitor trying to join us? What if I am deluding myself? What if I'm trying to be something I'm not? Even though I have all this list of things that I am, what if I still don't really get it? Yeah.
Because I find that in our lives we become good at a lot of things.
Yeah.
And we
have a lot of talents and skills.
and we have a lot of habits. So how do we know if those skills are really what we're good at because they come from deep inside, or did they come from necessity?
Or what we were trained as kids.
What we were trained as kids, what we were trained to respect, the habits that we evolved to serve us in our social world, in our economic world, in our religious world. We have a saying that's, well, it's human nature.
Right. Well, what is human nature?
Or is it actually human habit?
Yeah.
Is it an excuse? Because one of the things about habits is they usually are easy.
Mm-hmm.
They become easy.
Well, and it's something, all the brain science is like, when you do something over and over and over again, you build neural trackways. And so it's like you automatically, it goes into your limbic brain. It just goes into your whole automatic system.
Mm-hmm.
And you do things. And so, like for me, I've done bookkeeping for years, and it's like it's a piece of cake to do bookkeeping. But is that really my calling? Is that really my nature? And I keep questioning that, and it's like, it's not satisfying to me.
Well, that's when people say it's second nature to me. Okay, maybe that's habits. But what is first nature? There is no expression that says,
yeah.
Oh yes, it's first nature to you. You go, well, it's my nature. But I think we need to step out of that, step back from that sometimes and say, what is my real nature? How do we step back? Because when we're in those habit ruts in our brain, I keep thinking of them as like when you have a big snow up in the mountains, like at Crater Lake, and the snowplow comes through and the walls are like this.
Right.
And I keep thinking of these ruts in our brain as like that. To get out of that, we can't just step out and look around. We have to really climb out of our habitual ruts.
Yeah.
And then when we get up there, what do we see? Nothing. If we want to make another path, we got to start digging, often through hard matter.
Mm-hmm.
Not that our gray matter is hard, but
it's the concepts of the beliefs and the ideas that we've built and solidified and crystallized in our bodies and our minds.
So before doing all that work and assuming that our habits are not indeed our nature, and we want to get to know ourselves, one of the ways we do that, because we can climb out of the rut metaphorically,
Mm-hmm.
but what if we're tempted to think that our habits are our nature, that we're doing just fine?
Right.
And I think we often rationalize that.
Yeah.
I think when we pay attention to, when we get out of our heads and start paying attention to our bodies and our hearts, and does it give us ease?
Mm-hmm.
Does it make our body feel like it's home? Or does it upset our stomachs?
Right.
Does it give us the runs? Does it make our back hurt? Do we keep finding little reasons because our body doesn't want to cooperate to not do
Tired,
what
exhausted.
Crabby. Oh, I think, when we talk about women, becoming the B word, I think we often are crabby because we're not following our nature. And I think that really hurts the soul and the spirit. And if we have nowhere to turn, we turn to those closest to us or just to the world. And we know what we don't want, but we haven't spent time finding what we do want. What is our nature? What makes us... We have ghosts back here. What makes us feel at ease in our bodies? And if we're not used to looking at our bodies, Scooter, stop that. You can come through there. If we're not used to experiencing our bodies and paying attention to our bodies, excuse us just a second. We have Scooter, stop here. Just sit. There we go. It's a white dog, not a white ghost. So if we are doing things that, if we aren't used to paying attention to our bodies, either giving them over to doctors or rationalizing why we feel the way we feel, and even a lot of this focus on diet, I think you can have the best diet, you can have the best understanding of nutrition and herbology, but if you're not in sync with yourself, if you're not in your true nature, and we've been talking about this with Elaine, with your
Diet,
been on a very strict diet to try to get rid of psoriasis and some other things, and yet it may not be about the diet ultimately. It may be about the question you asked. That bookkeeping is second nature, taking care of others is second nature, but what is first nature? What is your soul and your spirit begging you to do, and taking over your body like an evil spirit to say, I'm going to wreck you until you pay attention. It's like, I thought I was paying attention. Yes, from up here.
Right, but to suit the actions to the word.
Yeah, and it's tough and it's scary.
It is, and it's like even for me, I get caught in the trap. It's like, I think I know who I am. I know what I'm supposed to do, but then it's still, there's these subtle undercurrents. It's like, I'm here to serve other people. What if I'm here to serve myself and grow and evolve myself, so that then I am who I am, and that reaches out and touches everybody's energy fields. And that sounds selfish.
It does. It sounds like we're rationalizing the world to get what you really want, which on the other hand, we're constantly rationalizing our bad habits. So does it not behoove us to rationalize our deepest desires and needs? And I think that shows when people do something in the world, get an idea, or an idea comes forth that really resonates with that person. And then all of a sudden, you find that idea popping up all over. I think there is an energy field that grasps onto things that are energetically honest or true. Mm-hmm. So when we serve ourselves, when we do what makes us happy, when we follow our true nature, I think it does benefit the rest of the world. It's not selfish to experience joy, to experience wholeness of being. I think it really benefits the world. And yet, for some reason, because it's different than what we've normally done, I think it's scary.
And then because it's like it goes against, what I was told when I was growing up. It's like, you're here to serve. I mean, then you add religion to it. You're here to serve, and you have to, if you do things for yourself, you're being selfish. And it's like, wait a minute, so here it is. I've gone through my whole life doing that, taking care of everyone else. I'm denying myself, and my body's kind of saying, hey, wake up. I'm trying to be nice to you, but you need to wake up. And it's raising questions for me. It's like, what really is my true nature? And how can I best express that true nature? And it's a variable for everyone.
And it's at the same time helpful and not, that our old habits that we established through our lives have served us.
Right.
They've helped us be successful or happy or socially acceptable or whatever, but they've served us. And so we don't need to throw them out. We can honor them and accept them for what they are.
Mm-hmm.
But now maybe a new time to
Mm-hmm.
change paths, to develop new habits. So those habits helped us,
Get to where we are right now.
and they helped us write our story. And our
Yeah.
story also wrote those habits. And if we believe that we create our own story, which
Mm-hmm.
many of us do, that we can create a new story. We can
Mhm.
develop new habits.
That's
And
the fun thing about being an author is you can change your storyline.
but then to change it on paper and to change it in life,
That's a whole nother
that
story.
is a whole other story. But it's a continuation of the story
Yeah, it's just in a different form.
in different form, and to do it in our true life.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the people around us that have gotten used to us being a certain way, is sometimes a challenge to them, and thus re-challenges us in spades because we're changing.
Right.
I knew you. I thought you're not the you I fell in love with. You're
Right.
changing. Why you're changing? It's like, why is always a rhetorical question.
Right.
Even in science, it's a rhetorical question that helps us find quasi answers. But we need to keep asking the questions, the real questions, not the why questions, but how,
Mm-hmm.
what,
Right.
who.
You're right.
And so
Yeah.
that is, I think, developing those new habits, stepping out of our head, feeling our body, starting to recognize on a regular basis when we're at ease
Right.
and when we're not at ease.
Right.
And whether it's sort of an immediate thing or whether it's something that's consistent, dare we say chronic. But if there are consistent lessons that our
Right, if
bodies
there's
are messages,
patterns.
yeah.
Yeah, if there's patterns.
Mhm.
Yeah, because that's the thing that I've been experimenting with and working with is it's I have a lot of analysis in my chart. I love to analyze things, and so it's real easy for me to be in my head and I've got everything all figured out in my head, but then I've got it all laid out and everything, But then I go ask my heart, how does it feel? How does it feel in my body? And it'll either be all tense and like restricted, like it's the energy's flowing through a board, it's just not flowing, or there'll be this openness and this free flowing feeling, and we have to figure out our clues to figure out, because like Jackie was saying, we've got habits, and the habits are so ingrained, they're so comfortable that we do them without, and we think that that's what's true. We think that's what our true nature is, our habits. But maybe that's not true. And if you're experiencing anything in your life that's where things aren't going quite the way you want it to do, or your body is not cooperating with you the way you want it to, then it's a question. It raises the question for you to take a look inside and say, well, are my habits really serving me? Is it time to let them go, or is it time to shift them? And these are all questions that I can't answer for you. You can only answer for yourself.
I think one of the things, and I've experienced this recently, we talk about this regularly, but when we are challenged by something, and it's something out of our habit, we tend to deal with our challenges the same way all the time. Question them and get upset about them, and they're in the way.
And blame somebody else.
But what if we reframe them? So recently, actually about a month ago, I broke a bone in my foot. And it's been bothering me, but my habit is to say, I can fix this, let me just barrel through it, let me just keep up what I'm normally doing. And a few days ago, when I realized that it was indeed fractured, and the best way for it to heal, especially without a lot of pain, is to stay off of it. That is not my habit. Not my habit, no
Right.
matter what. So if I have to stay off my feet or my foot, what is the best way for me to do that and to get something out of it, turn it into a gift. So I decided I'm going to go and visit my mother for a week. I will have nothing. I won't have to go to the gym. I won't have to get out and do shopping. I will simply be there with my mother until she gets tired of me, which actually means I can listen, and I can spend time with my sister and my brother, and I can listen because I don't have to go. I don't have an agenda.
Mm-hmm.
So this is like
A forced
is
vacation.
a forced vacation. And is it my, I've been meaning to go visit my mother for some time. It's been a while since I've seen her, and talking on the phone isn't the same. So why not turn this challenge into a blessing, into a gift?
Mm-hmm.
Make a new habit. Jackie, just because you can does not mean you should.
Mm.
Just because I can walk on a broken foot and do things on a broken foot doesn't mean I should.
Well, I know we're both sort of in the same boat of trying to figure out to break free from the habits of, our past life, of all the things we've done because of why we've done them, and because the force of habit, and into what is it that we really want to do with the rest of our life. And that's a real challenge, and it really stirs the pot, because then you find all these things that you used to do that what has made the framework of your life, like you do the gym and the gardening and and all the things that you do and the things that I do that have been the framework of my life, and you have to let them go, or maybe revise them, or do something, make a shift there, and that's really hard. It takes a lot of courage.
Yeah. And when we build these new habits, I think oh God, we are such good humans. I think one of the things we often do with new habits is align them with old habits.
Uh-huh.
Because that's easy. And so when we look at the old habits, we can ask, are they something that we need to get rid of? Or are what we're building, the new habits we're building, are they really different? Do they need to be different? Is there a good or bad to this? Were these habits that we learned, do we need to throw them out? They served us. I think we need to acknowledge that.
Yeah.
And then if the new habits serve us, if they make us feel good, even if they're awkward, even if they're
Right.
inconvenient, I think that is the sign that they're good habits to build.
Mm-hmm.
If we're just sort of reframing the old habits and doing them the same way, which we do, it's really harder. We make it sound, oh yeah, sure, just climb out of the rut, make new habits. It's really, really difficult because there's a lot of self-doubt that comes with it, because we've written our story, defined who we are
Got a
based on what we do.
interest in it.
But now, that interest isn't so vested anymore.
Yeah.
We don't want to do necessarily the same things. And bless you if you are doing something that you love doing, that feeds your soul and your spirit and your body, and you feel at ease with yourself. Bless you, because you are already blessed and should continue being so. Now, I've fortunately been able to do things that I love, but by the same token, my body, they've been physical things. My body's not going to be physically young forever. I know people swear that, and I swore that in my 20s and 30s and 40s. It's not. Things happen, things change, and there are other priorities than the youthful vigor of a healthy body. I can have an aged vigor of an aging body.
Mm-hmm.
That's totally valid, because it's not the body. The body sure is the ship in which we sail through life.
Right.
But it is not the captain. It is not the nature. A ship is not our nature. A ship is simply our vehicle.
As a tool, yeah.
And our body is that as well. And there's so much stress put on staying healthy into your later years. And unless you want to write everything else off, unless you want to have a limited social life and a limited hedonistic life, in terms of food and pleasure, it's not practical to try to keep an older body as healthy as a younger body. People who do that dedicate their lives to it.
Right.
I love having a healthy, functional body, but I'm not willing to dedicate my life to it, because people, experiences, my connection to the great oneness are all more important than having a young body.
It just needs to work well.
It needs
that's
it
all.
needs to do what I need
Yeah.
it to do
Yeah.
to serve the rest of me. So instead
Right.
of me serving my body,
Right.
I want my body to serve me.
Right.
How that works, I can't tell you. I'm learning, and sometimes I'm not learning. Sometimes I go right back to wanting what I had.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that when we pay attention to what our body tells us, which is not the saggy underarms, it is not the midsection droop, it is the inside of the body, the organs,
flow
and,
of
and even
energy.
the flow of energy, the even our joints. It's like, okay, what are they telling us?
Right.
Not the appearance, but the functioning of the body. What is it
Right.
telling us? If it doesn't want to work for us anymore, you can't make it. It's like keeping an
Right.
employee who says, I'm fed up with you. So you can change your practices.
Yeah.
Oh,
Or if you're
man.
If your body's stiff and your joints don't want to move and your muscles are tight, it's like, where in your life is that showing up in your life?
Yeah.
I mean, where you're in this box or in this track, and there's no room out. So yeah, the body is a wonderful way to observe what's really going on.
And the digestive and low back part, that whole lower abdomen, is science is now showing that both the heart and the intestines, the digestive system, have brains of their own that inform our head brain if we allow them. But we're used to the
Right.
head brain telling everybody else what's what.
Right.
Doesn't change it. If we listen to what our gut tells us, it's not just our gut. This is our emotions. This is our spirit. This is our connection with how we process things in the world. That if we listen to that and see what makes it better,
Mm-hmm.
that we might just be doing our whole system a favor.
Right, yeah. And that's, so that's one way to try to help discern what is really our true
True
nature,
nature.
our true calling. I mean, we're here for a reason. It's like we're specially designed, we're a combination of energies, energetic themes and archetypes, and each one of us has a particular role, and it's like discovering that particular pearl that we are, as opposed to all the other different ones around us we're trying to be like, but finding our own and being really feeling complete in that.
And I think the way you said that, being as opposed to doing.
Right, that's my latest mantra now, is be more, do less.
And it's not about being lazy, it's about being who we are. We will do things in the being that we are.
Right, and it's also about discerning what's not us, what doesn't feel right,
And not
versus, what enlivens us and feels good.
yeah.
So,
And not doing things just because we can.
or
Just
because we
because
feel
should.
obligated. Yeah.
So, and again, this sounds, we sort of oversimplified it
Yes.
because anybody knows it in the working, but it's baby steps. It's
Yeah.
listening to yourself, not feeling guilty for listening to ourselves. For
Right.
me, it's being patient with myself and not shutting myself down when I get an inkling
Mm-hmm.
that there's something more,
Right.
that I'm something more.
Right.
And that
That's
sounds...
kind of scary, really.
It is.
I mean, it's like being vulnerable that
Yeah.
I am. Well, for one thing, it's hard to come out and say, well, I'm here to learn about myself so that I can share that with the world. And kind of, how does that go over with other people? I mean, so there's that whole vulnerable thing, about being honest about who you are with other people.
But other people, it's like, I'm learning. I'm still
Yeah.
learning who I am.
Yeah.
You don't know who you are by this time? No, I've been changing and evolving all this time, and it's going to continue. It's not going to stop just
Right.
because I'm retired
Right.
or just because I'm a senior citizen.
Right.
I want to continue evolving, and I want it to be more towards who I really am than it is towards what I've been expected to be.
Or
And-
what you've always
yeah,
done in the past.
And
Oh,
that
yeah.
could be my own expectations, could be my perceived what I perceive as others' expectations. But I don't want that to run my life. I want to really get closer to who I really am, so that when it's time for me to die, I can say, yeah,
I lived a good life.
of course,
Yeah.
this is the next step. It's not, the fear that I haven't done it right. So good luck to all of you.
Yes.
We will keep you posted on our journey
Yeah.
towards finding our authentic selves, our true natures.
So be more and do less.
Amen.
There.